the other. So I'm just curious as to how did you see him? What decision did you make when you decided to change the ending, homie? Did you decide other endings? Did you explore other ways of actually going with it without actually revealing anything?
No, I didn't change the ending. He changed the ending. It was originally written with my ending, and I must admit that I way prefer Kairsey's ending. And since I'm admitting things here, I might as well admit that the book is far superior to the film. But no, so the ending was a surprise for me when I read the book as well. Because how we worked was, I started writing the screenplay. I told him the story that I wanted to make into the film. I started writing the screenplay, and I would ask Kairsey to write it in a very novelistic way, because I think Kairsey writes brilliantly. And the imagery that his words evoke really helps a filmmaker when you're trying to, I can't exactly show the coconut pickers with their balls and scrawny asses sticking out and with glorious sensors. But the point is that I really felt that what he would write would inspire me in different ways to how I would finally construct the scene. So he kept writing these massive pages and pages for each scene. And then I just pick and dissect and take stuff and put it into the screenplay. So finally, by the end of it, once we had the screenplay ready, he had a huge manuscript ready, and he said, hey man, do you mind if I publish this as a book? So I said, sure, but let the film release first, and then you can make it into a book. That's why we flipped the whole thing around, and that's how it came about.
But you guys have collaborated before as well on Being Cyrus. So clearly you're, aside from being very young, dynamic, Parsis, good-looking Parsis.
Well, for Parsis, we are very young. For Parsis, we are definitely young.
The Parsi bit's right, at least. Tell me, what is it about the two of you that works as a dynamic, as collaborators creatively?
I think for me, I love, like I said, his style of writing. It helps me create different things. And also, I find his humor just fantastic. It's completely irreverent. It's very sort of self-deprecative, and I love that kind of humor. And yeah, I think that's how it works. And also, we don't do the same thing when we're collaborating together. You know, he'll write the dialogues, I'll construct the scene, then I'll read the way he's written certain passages which I can't possibly put into a film. I can't show what's in a person's head, which Kairsey can elaborate on. As if you've read the book, you'll realize he really can. And it sort of just clicks when it all comes together. It clicks, at least for us. I don't know about the public, but it clicks for us.
Kairsey, say something nice about Homie.
Yeah, really, man. I made the book better than the movie.
So the reason I'm sitting here is because of Homie. Being Cyrus was a short story which I had written for Gentleman magazine, and they rejected it unequivocally for bad language. And it just languished on my computer for like 2 years, and then Homie always had to bug up his ass about making a movie back then. And I said, hey, I've got a short story, you want to read it? And he read it, and I have to say this man's got cojones, a complete newcomer in this industry. He just went ahead, got the finest talent on board to make Being Cyrus. And then one thing led to another, so that's it. I'm actually here because of him.
Wonderful. Great. Twinkle, I want to come to you next. Do you want to maybe start off by doing a little bit of a reading?
First, I'd like to say that I got this copy. I didn't open it. I got it. I bought it because Kairsey was too cheap to actually send me a copy. And when I got it and I read it, I messaged him. I said, this is terrible. It's terrible that after reading this, I want to rip the first 8 chapters of my next book and throw it in the bin. And he said, oh, yeah, wow, yeah. So I said, I just finished reading To Kill a Mockingbird, and I didn't feel like that. And, you know, your book is so amazing. I felt like that. He's like, what would you expect from a book in the 40s, Civil War? So civil rights. So he accepted my compliments with an absolute lack of humility. And, and I actually thought this was his 9th book But Homi told me that this is his first.
9th book.
I thought, because I thought maybe you're used to people saying, oh wow, you write so well, you write so well. So having said that, the other thing is it's a wonderful, wonderful book. He's truly gifted. Please go and get your own copy because clearly he's not going to hand out any. Also, you'd have to scrounge around a bit because Kershi claims that Crosswords hides his books behind old Reader's Digest and nowhere
In
near...
the children's coloring section.
Yes. And nowhere near the best-selling Chetan Bhagat. But Kershi, I don't know if you really want to be stuck hip to hip or bum cheek to hip with Chetan, but that's really up to you. So on that note, let me read from Book 3, Chapter 16, Rosie. She watches his sweaty, receding back. Pins run up her legs and pass batons to needles who run down. She finally takes a deep breath, purely an involuntary need to get oxygen to the brain. The air feels hot, and her lungs feel like they are doused in paraffin. Vision swimming and jaws clamped tight, she places her hands on her knees and jerks herself upright, throwing one arm out against the stolid banyan for support. Her blanket falls off her shoulders and pools at her feet. She sees nature, ogling her stark, naked body. The trees, the clouds, the wheeling birds, the unseen insects in the grass, everything pinching its lips in disapproval. Humiliation is the true death. Life flashes before your eyes until there is no life left, and at the end of it, you're still alive, burning in shame's acid juices. Her mind roams the past looking for comfort. All that comes is a patchwork of hazy events, places, and people, and not one of them offers her a landing spot or a little hole she can snuggle into and forget the present. And worst of all, the single event in her life that she had sat upon, smothered all these years, as effectively as she might smother a squirming mouse under her enormous bottom, the death of Gabriel Albert Fernandez, her son. It rises. A mother's defense mechanism tricking memory cells into blurring the ghastly picture of that final dreadful moment, taming memory's wild dog tendencies to bite and claw at her dreams all these years. It crumbles. The images rush back, etched out and clearer than they have ever been, of her getting there first, kneeling next to his body, rigid and ridiculous in that 800 rupee wedding suit, and peering into his mouth and seeing that little replica of himself that he had drunkenly tried to eat and which ate him instead, and reaching in and pulling it out, but it's too late. The gates have been shut forever.
Wonderful. So, people say that funny books can't be literary, and you're a very funny writer yourself, Twinkle. So tell me, when you were reading this book, what were you thinking as you were reading it? What sort of book did it feel like for you?
Kershi's book is practical. There are lots of fish in the sea, and so whoever gets stuck with your rod, one is as good as another.
Did you guys know what the ending of this book was when you started? The ending of the story. Did you know right in the beginning what was going to happen?
The movie?
The movie, the book, either. The ending of the story, did you know what was going to happen?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think we had the ending. I had the whole story in 10 pages. Sorry. I had the whole story in 10 pages, and I was very clear that I wanted it to be as sad and but funny in a very sad way. And the whole thing was not about what the ending was. It was about the journey, as in the way we wrote it, and how all the character graphs and what they learn along the way. And sorry, I'm just going to the film again, but I just thought it was just amazing, that last scene when we shot with Naseer. And for an actor to be able to do that, knowing how absurd the situation is, after he's accosted the daughter, thinking it's his beloved, who's not aged, obviously, she's been embalmed for about 40 years. And then to see, I mean, if you just see that shot of Naseer it and just see that shot, and it would be a tragedy of watching. It was just so convincing and so brilliant. So, but yeah, the ending was always there.
Nasir, do you want to maybe